I want to kind of map out for you what I'm going to discuss in today's class. So, first of all, I'm going to welcome you. After that, I'm going to call out my new book. Then I am going to share with you what about this parsha gives me a little bit of trauma. Then I'm going to go ahead and tell you a vart, an amazing vart in this week's parsha. I'm going to share with you a story, and we're going to wrap it up. And I'll probably plug my book again. Okay? So, should we start? Ready? Let's do it. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Torah Anytime. If you're listening on YouTube or BJL or wherever you podcast, welcome. I thank you very much. It goes a long way if you wouldn't mind subscribing right here on Torah Anytime, liking the video, sharing it with a friend or two who might appreciate these videos, these classes, these shiurim. I would greatly appreciate it. As always, I'd love to hear from you. Send me feedback. You could reach me at rabbistrumo@gmail.com. And okay, that's that. Number 2, Baruch Hashem, my book Dovetails, which is a sefer on Hanukkah. It's written in English. It's 112 pages. It's small. It's like 5 by 7. Very eatable. I was going to say eatable, but very edible, digestible, and inspirational. Every chapter is another connection between not the infamous, but between the beautiful Yonah, the dove, the story of Noach and what the Yonah represents, and its connection with the Yontif of Hanukkah. On the back, it actually has the brachos that you could use. It makes a beautiful card to use while you're lighting licht and while you're sitting and watching the candles. You could read and gain some mesoros. The books are now available on Amazon. You could look up Dovetails. You could look it up by my name, Ori Strum. And it would mean a lot if you would go ahead and purchase a copy, read it, enjoy it. Send me an email. I want to hear from you. Haisafos, ha'aros. If you wouldn't mind leaving a rating, a review on Amazon as well, it helps the algorithm, and it could help get the inspiration out there. I would greatly appreciate it. The next thing is the trauma. This is the parsha of Yaakov and Esav, twins. I'm a twin, and I kid you not. I feel like maybe it's a fad that I hope it's over, but I don't know if it actually is or not, where you make fun of a chassan. So I kid you not, somebody spoke at my Sheva Brachos, and I'm a twin, like I mentioned, and he compared my twin brother to Yaakov and me to Esav. So it's a little traumatic, every time we read this parsha and you think about and read about the womb mates, right? You had this chavrusa shaf going on, Yaakov, Esav, incredible thing, and this one went for good, this one went for bad, and then lo and behold, at my Sheva Brachos, this fellow, compares me to Esav. I'm still working through it, and hopefully there's brighter horizons ahead for all of us. So, anyways, that was that. I just want to share with you. Just me verbalizing and talking and getting off my chest, I think, is part of the therapy. So, thank you for listening, allowing me to do that. So I want to share with you there's so much in this parsha, and I just want to share with you a really, really important idea. And that is Esav and what he said. When he came back and he was mevaza the bechayra, right? What does he do? He says, sure, go ahead, take it. He was mevaza the bechayra. He said, anyways, Esav, hine anaychi haylech lamos. Behold, I'm going to die. V'lama zeh li bechayra. What is this bechayra for me? If we read the words, there's a bunch of similar words that we've seen already in the parsha, right? Esav says, anaychi haylech lamos v'lama zeh li bechayra. Where do we see similar words? We see it by none other than his mother. What does his mother, Rivka, say? She had an issue too. She had a struggle inside, inner turmoil. She didn't know. But she didn't know what was going on. Every time she passed by a house of Avodah Zarah, she starts to feel kicking. Every time she passes by a house of Torah study and prayer, she feels the baby kicking. What's going on? She says, "Im king lama zeh anoichi vatelech lidros es Hashem." You notice there's a tremendous similarity. The words Anoichi are used both by Rivka and by Esav. The words Lama Zeh are used both by Rivka and Esav. and a lashon of halicha as well, right? Esav says hoilech, and and by Rivka it says vatelech. Just it seems that the Torah is trying to draw a parallel connection, and really they're contrasting one another, two mahalchim in life. And there's the Esav approach to life, and that is hine anoichi holech lamos. The way Esav viewed the world was that every single day of my life and every moment of my life is one step closer to death. And therefore, what? Let me do whatever I want. I could live based on instant gratification, taking in all the physical lures and pulls of this world and listening to it, because anyways, I'm going to die. So hey, let me just live life to its fullest, and doesn't matter. There's no moral clarity. There's no moral compass. It's just, I'm one day closer to death, one moment closer to death, so I could do as I see fit. That is a life of Esav. That is a life of pure sheker. In contrast, you have Rivka, Imenu, and she has an inner turmoil, this struggle. What's going on inside? What does she do? Vatelech lidrois es Hashem. She goes to seek HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These are two mahalchim. A person can view every single day as one step closer to their death, or they can view every single day as an incredible opportunity for life. What is your focus? Esav focused on the death, on the negative. Rivka focused on the positive. She focused on the fact that there must be something deeper here. There must be something richer here. There must be something more meaningful. And even within that turmoil, that struggle, vatelech lidros es Hashem, she went to seek to find the godliness within the situation. Are we living our lives one step closer to death each day, chas v'shalom, or are we living each day of our lives filled with bren, filled with chaim, filled with kedusha, filled with vitality, with purpose, with meaning? Which one? Because the answer to that question makes a world of a difference. And I want to share with you something else, another connection. We see the contrast between Rivka and Esav, how Esav was hoilich lamos. It's fascinating. If you look a few psukim later, the Torah tells us by Yitzchak, the father of Esav, it says, Vayigdal ish vayilach haloch v'gadel. It says he went and increased. Ad ki gadal me'od, he became very, very great. I was looking at these words, and it's also a tremendous contrast. The word haloch v'gadol, haloch is the same letters as holech, the word that Esav said. And it's the exact opposite of what Esav. Esav was holech lamos, every day one step closer to death. Every day, slowly, physically speaking, if you look at it from that perspective, then yes, every day there's a little bit of a deterioration, right? That's holech lamos. That's the Esav approach, the Esav mentality. What's the mentality of the Avos? What's the mentality of Yitzchak? Haloch v'gadel. That you're going, not lemavos, not lamos, not to die, but v'gadel, where you're increasing every day. Not that you're deteriorating every day, but you're mostly v'holech. Hanukkah is coming up in a couple of weeks, and that's the Indian of every day. You like one, then you like two. The Indian of being a yid is your most v'holech. You're always adding more. That's the idea of being a yid. That's the whole idea of haloch v'gadol ad ki gadol me'od. Every day we're supposed to become more, becoming greater, becoming richer, becoming fuller, becoming closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're going lidros es Hashem. There's a story. The story is told about Rav Yisroel Salanter. Rav Yisroel Salanter was walking with his Talmidim late at night one evening, and it was very dark in the town, and all the lights were off, except they see off in the distance. They see a small little light that's in a room, and they get closer and closer, and they knock on the door, and who comes to answer the door? It's a shoemaker of the city. And they ask the shoemaker, what's going on? Everybody's sleeping now. It's so dark, and how are you still able to work at this late hour in the evening? And the shoemaker said, what do you mean? The light's still on. The light's still on, and as long as the light is still on, I can still repair the shoes. And Rav Yisroel Salanter said, wow, this is such a chizuk. And he repeated the line, Kol zman shehaner dolek efshar od letaken. Kol zman shehaner dolek efshar od litakein. As long as the candle is lit, it's possible to still fix. As long as our neshama is still licht, as long as we are kindled, as long as we are still alive, we can light more. The duty, the obligation of being a yid is to live a life of haloch v'gadel, like Yitzchak Avinu, to live a life like Rivka Imenu, where you're telech v'telech lidros es Hashem. Because as long as the ner is dolek, the fire is alive, the fire is burning within, we have an obligation, l'takein od. We have an obligation to continue to fix, to continue to explore, to continue to delve, to continue to bring out the godliness, to continue to make the world a better place, to continue to become better, because we're just at the tip of the iceberg, right? The Rabbi Nachman tells us, tachlis yediyah shalonida, the tachlis of knowledge is to get the level of not knowing. What's the description given to Esav? What's the description that Torah uses to talk about Esav? It says, Ish yodeya tzayid. We could put the comma after yodeya. Esav was an ish yodeya. He was a man that knew. He wasn't trying. He was an ish ayef, the Torah tells us as well. He was an ish sada, man in the field. He was v'hu ayef. He was a tired man. This was a person who was every day one step closer to death, every day a deterioration, every day just fulfilling whatever instant gratification he can fulfill. A sheker dika life. He was an ish yodea. He knew. And being an ish yodea means that I'm not willing to learn more because I'm good where I am. I'm comfortable where I'm at. But Yaakov Avinu was an ish tam. Yoshev Ayhalim. He wasn't enough that Yaakov was in Yoshev Ayhel. He didn't sit in one Ayhel, because for a Yid, it's never enough just to remain at one. You always have to go on to the next. That's why it's plural, perhaps, Ayhalim, Yoshev Ayhalim. He went from Ayhel Shel Shem, Ayhel Shel Aver. He had to go to both. Also, we see in Indian that it's important to explore different types of limudim, different types of, to learn from everybody. There's an Indian of that. He didn't just learn by shame. He also learned from Aver. There's a lesson in that, but not our sugya today. But that the life of a yid is a life of perpetual growth, where you're not an ishiodea. You're not now knowledgeable. You didn't just make it. You're not. No. That's a tired type of life. That's a life where you're holy chlamos. But we want to live a life where you get to a level of lo yeda. No, I'm learning so much that I'm so thirsty for more. That was Yaakov Avinu Ishtam Yeshiv Ahalim. That was a Rivka Imenu Vatilech Lidrus Hashem. That was a Yitzchak Avinu of Halach V'Gadel Ad Ki Gadol Me'od. That's the life of a Yid. That's the life that we wanted. That's the life that Rav Yisroel Salanter was trying to teach us when he saw the shoemaker up at night and he said, Kol zaman she'aner do'lek afshar l'taken. As long as the light is still on, I can fix, I can do more. And my friends, the neshama's light is always licht. It's always on. Sometimes we just blacken it, we put clothing on it, but the light is always on. We have to reveal that and bring out that panim, because it's always that neshama wants to yearn. It's like a fire, always pointing up and trying to connect to its source. But we all be zocha to connect to that. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. I appreciate it. If you enjoy this, please, if you haven't subscribed yet or following, if you're not following, it's very easy. You just click on follow and you'll get a message in your inbox anytime we put out new shiurim Be'ezus Hashem. If you wouldn't mind sharing it with others, it would be greatly appreciated. And don't forget, Dovetails, available on Amazon. Just plug in Dovetails, plug in my name, Rav Yisroel. Hopefully you'll find it there. It's a pretty good price, $11.99, and I mamish think it'll help you, your Hanukkah, enhance your Yontif. Hanukkah is coming up very soon, so go ahead, get your copy of Dovetails, and I can't wait to hear how your journey is.